What is your headliner, Benjamin Solak, for Week 5? What do you got?
Can't be anything but Cowboys Niners, man, can it?
Yeah,
I mean, holy smokes,
no
what
doubt.
a time. Exciting stuff. This game right now, this is the Sunday Night Football game. Niners are favored by a field goal at home. It's pretty much saying these teams are about even, and the Niners get the home field advantage here. Big thing to watch for me in this game is when the Niners are holding the football. This Niners offense is, at this point, just kind of shredding, right? I mean, they've scored at least 30 points in every single game. They are moving the ball at will on anybody and doing it in a variety of ways. Brandon Ayuk right now has 17 catches. 17 of them have gone for a first down or a touchdown. We like that.
Wow.
Right. Christian McCaffrey's coming off of a 4-touchdown game. Brock Purdy's coming off of a 1 incompletion game. You don't even really hear people talking about this. They're kind of like, yeah, the Niners are just doing what they do. They are like the Dolphins 70-point game, the Bills against the Dolphins. Like, there have been some peak offensive performances that have been more impressive than the Niners. Week over week, this is the best offense. There's 2 things to watch for when they play the Cowboys. The first is this is a Dan Quinn defense. Kyle Shanahan's very intimately familiar with Dan Quinn. Remember, they coached together for quite a while there in Atlanta. Kyle Shanahan's very, very good at beating a Dan Quinn defense. Historically very successful against this coaching tree, this style of defense, and against Dan Quinn. In particular, I liked this stat a lot. Aaron Schatz had it previously of Football Outsiders, now of FTN. The Dallas Cowboys are currently number 1 in defensive DVOA versus passes to the left and passes to the right. But if we know the Kyle Shanahan offense, it wants to throw passes over the middle, right? They are number 27 versus passes up the middle in DVOA. So obviously a lot of that number comes with Trayvon Diggs playing ball and having him on the outside. They have the Diggs injury, so they're probably going to be a little bit more susceptible on the outside. But you can attack these linebackers and you can attack these safeties because the Dan Quinn defense asks those guys to play really fast, fill in their gaps, and then you hit them with play action and throw over the middle of the field. It's a very familiar formula for Kyle Shanahan. I think this Cowboys defense has to be able to get at least enough stops to keep the offense in place. Because there's a way that the offense plays a great game, but the Niners just boat race them. The Niners just have so much gas offensively that it really isn't even as close as it feels. The defense can't buy a stop. So Dan Quinn's unit, that's the one I'm watching for this game.
Yeah, I mean, to your point with the 49ers offense, I didn't watch that game live last week on Sunday. That was one where I get caught up on Monday before we record Extra Point Taken. And I look at the box score, and it was probably around noon Eastern time. And I had no idea Brock Purdy had gone 20 for 21 in that game. Yep. I'm like, how do I not know this at noon on a Monday after watching football all day Sunday that he went 20 for 21 in that football game? So you're right. I mean, they've had 9 regular season games with Brock Purdy, and they've scored at least 30 in 8 of them. 8 out of 9 regular season games. And so they are just clicking. They are the offense this year that you say, man, this looks pretty easy for them week in and week out here. Now, I will say that playoff game last year, that was a 19-12 game, right? So, now the 49ers did settle for some field goals in that game. I think they put up a decent number of yards in that game, but the Cowboys held them to under 20 points, which is, as I just said, very hard to do. So yeah, that's going to be fun. To me, like zooming out even further away from the matchup is just, this game means more to the Cowboys, in my opinion, than the 49ers. If the 49ers lose this game, I'm going to be like, all right, no big deal. They lost a game. They were undefeated. They've won how many in a row? What are they at? Like 13 or 14 in a row regular
Brock
season?
hasn't lost a start, right? It's so if so if we're talking about getting rid of that Eagles NFC Championship loss game, I mean, it's got to be like 13 out at this point.
Yeah, in the regular season. So if they lose this, I'm not going. I would not panic if I were a Niners fan. Obviously, you want to win it. You want to stack those wins and get home field advantage. To me, it's more about the Cowboys. I mean, they lose to the 49ers 2 years in a row in the playoffs. This offseason, Mike McCarthy makes the move. Parts ways with Kellen Moore, takes over the offense. He has the keys with Brian Schottenheimer by his side. Listen, through 4 weeks, it's worked out well for the Cowboys. They had the one slip up against the Cardinals. Other than that, they've looked like one of the most dominant teams in the NFL. Their other 3 games, they've outscored their opponents 108-13 in their 3 other games. I mean, legit Super Bowl contender type stuff here. But now you're facing the big boys. You're facing the competition. You're facing the team that kind of made you rethink what you want to do because they knocked you out of the playoffs and prevented you from getting to the championship round for 27 years in a row. Now the Cowboys haven't gotten past the divisional round. And so this was like the game, the team that made you rethink, do we need to do something to get us over that hump? And so to me, it means a little bit more, or maybe a lot more for the Cowboys than it does the 49ers.
It does. And I think that you always it's always good news when you come into a game being like, this is a really important game for us because you expect a very spirited effort. It's also a little bit bad news. Like, you're the Cowboys. They stop acting like a week 5 game is your Super Bowl, right? Now, then again, I imagine when we get that Niners-Eagles game, I think it's like late November, early December, the Niners are going to start acting like that's their Super Bowl because we know the Niners are all fired up about that loss to the Eagles. And that's why you have this really tight group at the top of the NFC, and there starts to be some bad blood. So it's cool because the spirited effort. It's also like, okay, like you're kind of doing a little bit of like a little brother, big brother thing where like little brother really wants to beat big brother and big brother doesn't really care. Like big brother's kind of moving on to different stuff. And I don't like that the Cowboys kind of have that short of a vision. I agree with you. This has been a really impressive Cowboys team. I'm also just really interested to see this Niners defense is very clearly good. Like, there's no question that they're good. They faced the Kenny Pickett Steelers, gave up 7 points. The Daniel Jones New York Giants gave up 12 points. And then the Josh Dobbs Cardinals gave up 16 points. Now, the Cardinals, I think, are a little bit...
Cardinals moved the football. Yeah. Cardinals moved the football on them like very consistently last week. That was a 21-16 game in the third quarter. And a big reason for that was, the 49ers definitely did not dominate that game defensively. Yeah,
and then the Rams, who lose 30-23. Sean McVay kicks the field goal at the end of the game to cover the spread. King. But that's a game in which Matthew Stafford goes 34 for 55, 307 yards. Right now they have picks on him, right? And it's a high volume game, but they were able to move the football. The Niners defense is certainly 100% unquestionably good. I'm not questioning whether or not they're good. I am a little bit curious to see them get tested by what I think is the best offense they've faced so far this season, and comfortably the best offense they've faced. Like I said, they're going to generate turnovers. They're going to get stops. Like, I have a lot more faith in them to do that than the Cowboys defense the other side of the ball. But it will be curious to see just how to get this metal tested a little bit for them. This front is where they dominate, and the Cowboys offensive line has actually played, I think, really, really well to start the season when they've had some shuffling at tackle spots, kicked Tyler Smith inside, and they've held their water. So trenches, big matchup when the Cowboys have the ball.
Yeah, that side of the ball is like, this is how McCarthy will be judged on Sunday night, Monday morning. Like you said, it's week 5. But I don't like to tell people to settle down, because that's why we love the NFL, because we could have these conversations every week and overreact and go nuts to what just happened that week. But I mean, let's be honest, that Cowboys offense in last year's playoff, they scored 1 touchdown on 10 possessions. Like I said, it didn't take 30 points to win that game. They needed 20 points to win that game and get past the 49ers. They couldn't do it. That 49ers defense really got the better of them. And, McCarthy made his comments in the offseason about the approach and all that. I mean, who knows how much of that is actually in practice when we get a bigger sample here this season. But to me, Mike McCarthy running the Cowboys offense against this 49ers defense, like you said, is a good defense. I don't know that it's like a juggernaut defense that, you shouldn't have a chance against. I mean, if you're a Cowboys offense and you believe you're a top 5 offense, this is a game where I think you should be able to move the football and put some points up. I mean, they faced the Jets in, week 2. I mean, the Jets statistically might not have a great defense, but are still a very talented, a very good defense. And they played well against the Jets. So, the Patriots, again, that was, I know they lost people in that game, but like, you should be able to move the football against this Niners defense if
Worth
you are
remarking.
who you think you are.
Yeah, I just checked the injury news. Left tackle Tyron Smith and center Tyler Biadasz both expected to go for this game, which means that the Cowboys would have their starting offensive line, all 5, for the first time this season up against the Niners. Could have come at a better time, buddy. Full strength now. And like I said, like, that unit I think has been really impressive working around their injuries. They hiding Chuma Doga as best they can and shuffling along the inside. Now it's like, all right, this is the group that you intended to come into the season with. Be nice to see them win against this Niners front.
That number is 3.5, by the way.
I was about to ask you what your pick is for this game.
It's 3.5, not 3. 49ers favored by 3.5 on.
I said like a field goal. I said like.
I thought you said a field goal. That's big, Ben. 3 and 3.5 in our world. Come on.
Yeah.
That's like a whole different world. I picked the Niners in this game. I'm basically like, until I see their offense get slowed down, I'm just going to go ahead and go with them. They're at home. They've been very good at home against the spread over the last stretch here. So I've got the Niners. It's not one of my picks that'll come at the end. I don't know if it's one of yours. Otherwise, what side would you lean towards?
It is not one of mine, and I lean Niners. This is a game that
it's a tough one.
This is a game that, like, usually when I approach a slate, I like look through the games. I see where I have an early lean. I'll look through some numbers, and then I'll like pick some games to go after. I spent a long time prepping this Cowboys Niners game to come away with a side, and then I was just like, I got nothing. Like they're two very, very good teams. I'll certainly have some action on this game because it's Sunday Night Football. I just am gonna. But I don't think I'm gonna have a lot of action on the spread itself because it's a tough matchup.
Looking ahead, the Niners are plus 240 to come out of the NFC. They're the favorites right now. Eagles are at plus 300, and the Cowboys are third at plus 450 to come out of the NFC. Last thing I'll say, another reason it's a big game for the Cowboys is because you're 2 games back of the Eagles potentially. If the Eagles win this week and you lose this week, you're 2 games back, which is not insurmountable. You still play them twice, but that NFC East is a spot where one team could win the division and be the 1 or 2 seed, and the other team would be a wild card all the way down to the 5 seed. I mean, it's a totally different world for those 2 spots once you get into the postseason. All right.